Hey there, Winnie Anderson here, brand and content strategist, and welcome to another edition, I can't even talk today, of Message Monday. And today's topic is probably the most important subject issue to address to help buyers decide to buy. And I use the term buyer because some people they call their clients, the people they work with, clients. Some call them customers. Excuse me. Others have different patients. Others have different language, so it's just easier for me to say buyers. So I'm going to share with you today, as I said, the central, most important issue to help people say yes to working with you. And I'm going to give you some tips on how you can do that. You know how this works. Feel free to ask questions, make comments, and I will always circle back and respond when you do that. And I will probably mention several things during the course of this, other videos I've done, that sort of thing. Just let me know down below here in the comments if you would like to have a link to a particular video or things like that. And I'm happy to circle back and get that to you. I'm also happy to help you figure out your strategy for building what I'm about to share with you. My throat is really acting up today. Okay, so what is it? What's the big secret? The big secret is recognizing that buyers, if you think selling is hard, buying is difficult. Buying is anything, is basically an exercise in trust. Your prospects, your buyers are at risk. They are taking a chance whenever they commit to working with you, buying from somebody else. There is an element of risk involved there. What's the risk? Well, one is that you won't deliver. And this is why, when faced with a choice between someone they know or someone who's recommended to them and someone or a business who they don't know, people are going to lean towards the one business person, etc., who they have a higher degree of trust with, a lower feeling of risk with. So when you are creating your marketing elements, your marketing strategy, the focus should be, your goal should be building trust. Yes, you want to build your reputation as a smarty, as an expert in your field, but that can't happen if people don't trust you, if people don't believe that you really are an expert, that you really can solve their problems. So that's really why we create content, because it does the work for us. It's why we build our reputation, so it speaks for us. It's why things like testimonials, case studies, recommendations, raves by past clients are so important, because all those things help increase trust and lower risk. For those of you who sell, like I do, to other businesses, depending on how big that business is, your potential buyer has even more at risk. Think about yourself. If you're like me and you have a history of working in corporate life, flash back to what corporate life was like. Your career was on the line every day. And you were lucky if, like me, you worked for companies where it was safe to make a mistake. Because I don't know about you, but I made some big mistakes in my day. Now, the difference was I learned from those mistakes and I didn't make them again. But I worked in an environment where my managers and my vice presidents really saw that my mistakes as an investment that they had made in me, and they trusted that I would learn from them. Today's environment is a lot different. So, for a lot of people, so if somebody is going to make a recommendation that they hire you, they bring you into their organization, whether it's to do a presentation, a lunch and learn, or you're going to actually work with them to achieve whatever goal it is that they want, their professional career is on the line with you. That's a lot. So people have every right to be nervous because let's face it, good jobs don't grow on trees. And as much as we hear about positions that go unfilled, well, for folks of a certain age, the chances of them finding a position that pays comparable to what they have, pretty slim, pretty tough. So you have to acknowledge, just recognize that elephant in the room, that your buyer has a lot at risk. So how do you deal with this? You build trust. This is really the essence of your brand. It's recognizing that your believableness is a part of what people are buying into. You know, our lives, our entire society is built on trust. And when something happens that damages that trust we have in others in our society, it really hurts. And it leads to a lot of other issues and problems. So, how do you build trust and strengthen your reputation for trust with your potential buyers? Because you can't always trust that someone is going to hear your message, consume your content, read your post, read your articles or whatever, and then say, yeah, that's a smarty pants, I'm buying from them. So part of what you trust is that when you put out content, whether it's going to be found by the actual person with the problem you solve, or it's going to be found by somebody who's going to go, oh, you know who needs to read that? You know who needs to watch that video? My friend, Sally. I'm going to send that to her. I'm going to tag her in this post. So that's part of your trust, is that you're putting out this information and it's going to find its way to the right people. And there are things you can do to help ensure that that's going to happen. But let's stay focused on the concept of trust, and we'll share some other pieces about what I just talked about in upcoming Message Mondays. So the very first thing you need to do is get crystal clear on the problem that you solve. As service providers, we're a solution in search of a problem. You build your business, you start your business because you have a set of gifts that you want to deliver. And then as you build your organization, you've got folks that are helping you and that are helping support you. So in order to, whether you stay directly involved in your service delivery or you step into your role as CEO and you manage that business while others deliver that service, it's still about trust, and it's about building that reputation that you can solve a particular set of problems. So you want to get really crystal clear on the problem that your target audience has and the language that they use around that problem. And it's not always going to be the technical language that you use when you describe it. So you want to make sure that you're stepping away from jargon and that you're staying focused on the language, the layman's language that folks use to describe their problem. And I have notes, of course, that's what I'm glancing down at. So you want to then think about and focus on, what do potential buyers, what do people who have that problem, what do they most want and need to know in order to move forward? Because there are people who have the problem, right? Let me reach over here and grab my little customer mountain as a display. So there are people who have the problem. They know they have the problem. Are they ready to take action to solve it? Not always. Sometimes they need a little bit more information. They need to convince themselves that it's time to solve this problem. Notice I didn't say you need to convince them, because you can't. All you can do is share information that helps them understand the depth of their problem and then how to fix it, and what they're missing out by not fixing it, right? I use a formula that I call PIGS, and it helps you package your message in a way that people can quickly consume, go start nodding their heads and move in. So if you want information about PIGS, just say PIGS below and I'll get that to you. I have a video for that. So anyway, this is the customer mountain. Okay, this is the customer mountain, and you only want to talk to people who are on the right side of the mountain. People who recognize they have a problem and who are learning more about it and how to solve it, right? And then they say yes. So you want to make sure that you're sharing your point of view, because that's part of what people are buying into. So first is you're going to identify the problem. Next, you're going to use the language that your buyers use. And next, you're going to make sure that you're sharing the kind of information that they need and that they want in order to move along their buying journey. And if you'd like some more information about buying journey, say that below and I'll get you some information there. I have a video, I probably have more than one video, and I'm working on a larger manifesto about this. So you can say manifesto below and I'll get that to you as well. So anyway, people, when they are ready to buy, when they're close to being ready to buy, they often will have some doubts. They'll second guess themselves. They'll want to be sure, right? Especially when they're investing in something that involves maybe a very close relationship with you. You're a healthcare provider, you're a coach, you're a financial person, accountant, a financial advisor, you're somebody like me, a consultant, who gets really into the nitty-gritty of the business or of the person. That's a big relationship, and people want to make sure that they're choosing the right person. So you want to make sure that you're answering the questions that they have, that they end up having close to the buying decision. I refer to these as WAQs, the want to ask question. These are likely the things they are unlikely to ask you. These are questions around price and return on investment. What can I expect? How fast can I expect a return? Am I going to get my money's worth out of this? And others that are all related around money. That's just, good business, frankly, is to make a decision about money. So that's stuff about, well, people who ask about the price, they're price-driven clients. No, they're not. They're smart people. They've got resources that they need to allocate and that they need to manage. So by not addressing it, frankly, it's disrespectful to them. So you want to address those kinds of questions. There are others that fall under the heading of WAQ. You want to address them first. Then you also want to create FAQs, of course, they're the frequently asked questions, but also the SAQs, the should ask questions that they're not. I have a video about that too. Just say questions below and I'll get you that as well. And that will give you some insight into the kinds of questions that you want to make sure you respond. You want to really understand the fears, the concerns, and the issues these folks have. As I said, it's not that people have, how do they describe it? It's not that they have issues around. I'm sorry, I'm lost the language here. It's not that people need to be convinced. Objections, right? It's not that they have objections. Objections are, I don't want to work with you. Okay, bye, right? Objections are, you charge too much. Compared to what, right? But questions, smart people have questions. Concerns, absolutely. What's my return on investment going to be here? How fast can I expect? That's a reasonable expectation and question. So you want to focus on answering these in the form of questions. You don't want to think about objections, and stop talking to people who have objections. And you do that by sharing your point of view, right? So really tune into what are your beliefs, your values, your approach to the problem that you solve. That's going to help you build the kind of content that addresses these issues. So understand that they have them, acknowledge them, because this is the elephant in the room that people want to know. How much do you charge? Very few people want to even get into a conversation with you where they have to go, so how much is this going to cost me? Right? That's uncomfortable for them. Remember, if selling is hard, buying is even harder. There are lots of people out there for them to work with, and then they've got all these concerns and questions, right? What happens if I don't like how you do it, right? So you want to make sure that you're addressing these elephant in the room kinds of questions. That's back to the WAQ, the want to ask question. The more you answer them, and other people who do what you do aren't answering them, the more trust you build. Again, that's what we're talking about here, is building trust between you and a potential buyer and helping them feel good about taking that next step and making that commitment to working with you. So what you're going to do is you're going to acknowledge their concerns, etc., their risks. You're going to answer the questions that they have. You're going to show up consistently. So that means showing up means if you say you're going to do videos every Monday at a certain time, that you show up, right? We recognize that things happen, an emergency comes up. People will understand that. But if you say you're going to show up and then you don't, that's a little crack in that trust shell, right? Think of your brand as an egg. And it just a little crack, it weakens it overall. Doesn't take much to create that crack. So you really want to make sure that you're protecting your brand, which is your reputation, and that you are building and strengthening it all the time. And this element of trust is super, super important. You also want to make sure, so you show up consistently. If you say, I'm going to send a newsletter, you send a newsletter. You do what you say you're going to do, right? That's how we build trust in relationships in general. Focus on helping first. So we all know that you have to get into a conversation with folks in order to be able to enroll them, typically in whatever business you have. And it starts with that piece of content that you share. It starts with an initial conversation. If you try to rush it, it's just not going to work. So you want to make sure that you are focused on helping. This is the whole reason why we create content, so we can direct people to that piece of content. People tend to trust something that they see as educational more than they trust an individual, which is strange but true. This is typically because they've been burnt before. So you really want to use content, your educational content, to basically, that's why I call it pre-selling. It does the selling for you. That's actually what marketing is supposed to do. Marketing's job is to actually do the selling. So when you get into a conversation, it's about working out the details. That's all it is. So you also want to make sure that in your content, you're seeding elements of how you can help, how you've helped others achieve, that you've got an organized process, a system, a branded methodology, and you can drop those little hints, as you've seen me do. I have a video on that. This is how I work with clients. And that subtly helps people recognize, oh, I can hire this person for that. All right, that's she's got an organized way of helping people. That's fabulous. That does, again, it plants those little seeds and does the work for you. So then it's, well, how about some detail about that thing you talked about or that way that you help people? Next is proof elements. Proof elements are exactly what they say or what they sound like. These are the things that, again, do the heavy lifting for you. These are things like case studies, individual pieces of content, testimonials, all of those things, visual proof. I have, and you'll be shocked to hear this, I have a video about proof elements too. So I think I have an article about it. So if you want some information about that, just say proof elements and I'll get that to you as well. So there are about 7 different categories of proof elements. The more the merrier. And with specific professions, there are certain proof elements that people need in order to feel good about working with you, right? When we want to work with a doctor, we want to. I have a doctor's appointment, as a matter of fact, on Wednesday. You want to find somebody who's board certified, right? That's like a standard thing anymore. That proves they're a smarty. They've got the business, the basic, elements of what they know. We look for online reviews, right? And the reason for this is because we trust the words of total strangers more than we do the person that we're talking about. Even though we know that some nefarious things happen with reviews, we still tend to trust them more. We'll take them with a grain of salt, but we want to see them. So we also want to see the negative reviews. We want to balance, because sometimes, people post a negative review, and they're like, are you wacky? I mean, you're like totally extreme here. And we know we have enough sense that we filter those out. But so you want to think about, do I have the proof elements that people need? One of them is, people are searching for solutions online. We all do this, right? The first thing we do is we go to Google, we go to some search engine, and then hopefully we find a website, a profile, we find something for the business or the business person that we want to work with. And there's this look, and feel thing, because we're mostly visual animals to a degree. Does this look like the person has what it takes to be able to help me? Does this site look professional, or should it be on websites that suck.com? So you want to make sure that your pictures, that your graphics, that your site is up to date and looks like something somebody in this year would expect, right? So you want to make sure that you've got those proof elements and that you are employing them. Next is you want to celebrate clients. This is also a proof element, but it goes a long way to seeding somebody to recognize that, that person had that kind of success. Well, I'm similar. I should have similar success, right? So that's just helps validate, one, that you can do what you say, and two, that you really do make a positive difference in the lives and businesses of your clients, those you serve, right? And that's why I say buyers, the buyers that you serve. Next is you want to make sure that every now and then you toot your own horn. Now you're celebrating your clients, right? Which kind of toots your own horn anyway. Hey, I did that, but look how you're really celebrating the client. But you may have, and again, this is a proof element, maybe you have something that you've achieved. I was telling somebody last week about the first time that I had an article published in the newspaper. Oh my God, I was so excited. I told everybody I ever bumped into once on the way to get a cup of coffee that, look, I got this article in the paper. It was a big deal. That was a horn tooting. I've gotten some certifications over the course of my professional life, and I celebrate those, right? It's important that you do that for several reasons. One is just so you can tell your brain, I feel good. Pat yourself on the back, right? That I did that. But it's also sharing with other people that you've had achievements and that you are a professional, right? And you can also share personal accomplishments, achievements as well. If you've learned something, or maybe I'm a gardener, as a lot of people know, and in nice weather, as my garden starts to grow, I'll do videos out there and show off my garden, and just it gives people a little bit of insight into who you are as a person, and it helps them make a connection to you, because we do like to do business with those we know, like, and trust. It's an old cliche, but really it's a truism that we really do. So let people have a little peek into the real you, toot your own horn, and most of all, be human. Business is an intimate thing, and be human, be real. When, I said today, I'm sorry I'm late. I that's a lot of issues this morning. It's okay. We want to work with people who are real. We don't want to work with people who are absolutely perfect. And by being human That means also acknowledging what is not perfect about your business and about you. You know, I'm in the process, this is a major share. I haven't talked about it in a long time, but I'm losing my hearing. It's a genetic issue as well as a residual from my accident. When I was in my car accident, I had a blow to my head. Long story. But also genetically, I lost DNA roulette. My mom's side of the family, almost all of them have lost their hearing at some point in their life. Well, I'm on the way, right? So I tell people, hey, listen, I haven't quite gotten on, I don't have hearing aids yet. I'm going to be getting them probably this year, but I tell people I'm losing my hearing. So bear with me, please. I am fully upfront that I was in a car accident and that I have some issues that sometimes show up in relationship to my permanent injuries. I'm not ashamed of them. So you want to be human, and when you and now don't overshare, but you do want to be human. When you let people see things you love, when you let people see things you struggle with or you have issues with, it helps them recognize that yeah, you're human just like I am, and it kind of gives them permission to be human too. To be honest with you, it helps people open up more with you, and you know, you hate to say gives them permission, but really a lot of times we need that person to do it first so we feel good and safe in doing it. So to wrap all this up, the number one thing that you need to do in order to help you sell your services is to build trust. It's the very foundation of your brand as a professional and as the business that you're building. It's to build trust. People need to feel safe about taking action to learn more about you, and buying is risky, and saying yes, I want to work with you is a perfect example of just how much people trust you. So you want to do that by sharing content. It's the essence of why we share content. You want to share great content that focuses on the FAQs, SAQs, but most of all the WAQs, the want to ask questions, and especially answer those elephant in the room kind of questions that people have about working with you. And yes, that includes price and how this is structured, what I can expect to working with you. So that's really the essence of how you can attract more clients, help them say yes faster, guide them through their buying journey by focusing on, I'm sharing this information in order to help build trust with you. And then people will have an easier time saying yes. So you want to establish trust, build trust, and then guard it, because it's just the heart and soul of your reputation and your brand. All right, so hope that has been helpful for you. That is your Message Monday message for the week. So really think about, you know, from here on out, noodle on, do people trust me? Do they see me as a trustworthy source of information? Are they referring people to me? Are they reaching out to me for information? And am I putting out content that builds and establishes and builds trust in me, my company, my team, my business? If not, let me know, and I'm happy to chat about what you can do to take action to build that. And if you want any of the resources I mentioned, be sure to say that in the comments. Ask any questions that you have, and I will catch up with you in another video soon. Tuesday is Tech Tip Tuesday, and I have a good one for you this Tuesday, so I will see you then. Bye.